You've mentioned Obama, and the burning question is, what do you know about President-elect Obama's choice of Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel and his relationship, if any, to AIPAC or any of its affiliates?
Well, I think in this case, the mainstream press hasn't failed. They've mentioned the fact that Rahm Emanuel is a principal node in the Israel Lobby campaign contribution network, that he wasn't necessarily really behind Obama until he switched sides in June away from Hillary Clinton, probably because it looked like she wasn't going to be viable, and then introduced Obama to the power elite of AIPAC at their annual conference. And ever since then, and this is why I say it's a remarkable mirror of the Kennedy administration, of course, he's been named Chief of Staff. We know all about his father's illustrious past. The press calls it gun running. I would call it something different, with the Irgun and his own participation in Israel's war efforts back in the 91 Gulf War, et cetera, But what people don't understand is the following. Obama's made some pretty implicit promises about winding down the confrontational approach to the Middle East, as well as getting troops out of Iran. But yet he's appointed Rahm Emanuel as his chief of staff. Kennedy entered government with a similar approach in which he had to accommodate the lobby's principal donors in a meeting with Abraham Feinberg, in which he pretty much was told that he had to accommodate his Middle East policy to the power players of the lobby. Because of that, he appointed Meyer Feldman into his cabinet, very similar to Rahm Emanuel. Feldman had access to all of the State Department cables coming out of the region. It was a node that the various ambassadors did not want because they were attempting to do many things that they didn't want to be leaked immediately to the Israelis in terms of peace initiatives, et cetera, and yet, by 1962, 1963, Kennedy, in spite of having put his foot down against the developments of Israeli nuclear weapons at Dimona in a harsh letter to, I call him Levi, you call him Levy, you're correct, Prime Minister Eshkol, was being essentially neutered. The lobby was effectively channeling funds overseas to develop Israeli nuclear weapons, and all of this was in spite of Kennedy's non-proliferation activities. By 1963, Kennedy was teaming up with Senator Fulbright, saying that all of this spurious legislation constantly being annexed to bills and the constant propaganda war against the Arab government was not in America's interest. He was backing away from many of his public promises that he made at the beginning of his administration. And so there are a lot of parallels, and I think probably that Obama probably has some understanding that it doesn't matter whether you've won with $100 donations from millions of people who are paying for change. He's essentially negating a lot of that grassroots support by making appointments and concessions to the lobby, which reveal some harsh truths. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that there is a grassroots groundswell for a different approach. He's putting in people, and he's accommodating, apparently, policies and positions that have nothing to do with American grassroots interests.